Hey Bellas, it's Amanda Bella here, and it is the morning of Friday, March 20th. I'm here editing, getting ready to release this episode with Jana Firestone that you're about to listen to of Pop Therapy Podcast. You guys, Jana is truly such a inspirational and when you think about your peers in this space, like she's just somebody that I look up to. She just has a very specific psychology lens that she approaches all of her content with. And she just has, I mean, not to go all Amanda Francis, but she just has like an informed opinion on a lot of things that I too, with my psychology background, we find that we really align on. So I really enjoy my conversations with her. I had taken so many pages of notes for this Southern Charm podcast. But I know when I get into these deep conversations with having guests on, I really don't want it to be a digestible, easy, like background podcast. I don't know how to describe it. Like, I don't want us to just break down line for line, like what happened in the show. I want us to be taking more of a deep dive on particular subjects. So I don't think we got through everything that happened in the reunion in this conversation, but I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. And I think I'm going to have her have to come on next week again to discuss part 2 of the reunion, because I don't know if you guys noticed, and we talk about this in today's episode, that they did not release a teaser and a preview for part 2 of the reunion. So I'm freaking out. Sorry, guys. It's just in the morning here that I'm recording this. So anyways, I want to make sure you guys all know you have Jana's information, okay? She used to have a podcast called The Curious Life. She's now changed it into Pop Therapy. So you should be able to search it on all of your podcast platforms. And she's just such a gem, and she's really hardworking, and she has such an authentic voice in this space. So it's really important that you guys just go follow Jana, rate her 5 stars, and leave her a review, because it matters so much. Like, we can't beg for reviews enough, and we can't seem to get them. Like, no one ever leaves me a review. And maybe it's because they just won't have anything nice to say, which in that case, I'm like, okay, thank you for not leaving a review. But it's just crazy. Like, we need reviews, you guys. We like, even just the ratings will help. Like, any type of activity on her page. Go follow her on Instagram at Jana Firestone. So it's Jana, Jana dot Firestone. So that's her Instagram. And you can also find her link on her page there to her website, which has her book that she's published. I mean, I'm telling you guys, she's the real deal. So go follow Jana. I hope that you enjoy our conversation, and I better get out of here and go get a hot tea. All right, love you guys, TGIF. And believe me, I am getting ready and I'm gearing up to release my Bella Talks TV episode, because there's obviously been so many major headlines. I need a minute to digest. I'm not ready to talk about Taylor Frankie Paul yet. So just give me the weekend and I will have an episode for you guys ASAP. All right, love you all. Have a wonderful weekend. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's time to count down reality TV's most talked about moments with Amanda Bella. Jana Firestone, I've been waiting for you to come on to Bella Talks TV 4 weeks. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. This is such a thrill. We had so much fun together in LA not that long ago. So I'm so glad we get to sit down and get into our favorite things together.
It really was a meant to be moment. Like, my friend from Australia is going to be in LA at the same time as me, like, while I've already just been in your DMs every day anyway and like chatting it up with you. And I was just on
Totally.
your show. So,
Yes.
like, it's crazy how much that timing was so meant to be to me. Like, I probably wouldn't have made the effort to come out and do so many fun things if I wouldn't have known, like, you were going to be there. Like, even at the Watch What
Yeah.
Crappens show, like, it was
Yeah.
so meant to be to spend time with you. I was really
Totally.
grateful. It was
Totally.
such a
I
fun
mean, we
trip.
did some super fun things like the Vanderpump watch party and like meeting all the cast, and then the Watch What Crappens night. Like, it was so much fun. Like, the stars aligned. It was amazing.
It did. It really did. Like, being out there at the same time as the Vanderpump Rules finale and getting to experience, like you said, meeting some of the staff,
Yeah.
getting to have goat cheese balls fed to me by Jason. Like,
Yes.
just these
Totally.
little moments where that meant the world to me, and we were just
Yeah.
talking before we got on, just what it's like to be, working in this Bravo sphere and being a part of this, the kind of a cog in the machine of just what keeps all of this fandom going. And
Yeah.
when we do get to fly a little close to the sun and like intermingle just a little bit, it's so fun. And I think we just did the perfect amount out there. You got to do some really special, awesome interviews. So I always put all of the show information for Yana in the show notes. So make sure
Thank
everybody is
you.
following 5 stars. We always give 5 stars, pop therapy to Yana. So again, all the information will be in there. But she is just, I just wanted to make sure I highlighted, she's done some really great interviews. And we were just talking about being in LA. She was doing in person interviews with real Bravo Labs people. Okay. She's the real deal. So I just feel blessed to have her here today. And we're going to get into all of the Southern charm stuff because
Yes.
there's not a lot of people online that are a kindred spirit like
Mhm.
Yana and I who are able to see the nuance and able to see
Yes.
both sides of the feud, the heated rivalry that has now
Yes.
become Austin versus Craig. So there's just so much that happened this season. I can't believe it's been 11 seasons of these guys.
No, neither. My dad just rang me a minute ago and he's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm about to do a podcast with my friend in New York." And he's like, "What are you going to talk about?" I'm like, "Southern Charm." He's like, "What do you know about Southern Charm?" I'm like, "Dad, it's a show. I've been watching it for 11 seasons. I know everything."
Put some respect on my name. Like, I know
Exactly.
Southern charm. Let me know it inside and out, sadly.
Exactly.
I feel
Exactly.
so parasocial just with the Summer House crew.
Yeah.
Again, I think it's different than Housewives. It's just they're closer to our age. We're
Yep.
just millennials going through life. We're all kind of in that group of late 30s, early 40s, and we're all going through the seasons and changes of life. And you can see Southern Charm really going through that too this season.
Yeah.
Scene just kind of rolling in from last season. We are seeing Craig newly single from his breakup with Paige, which has been the shockwave sent through the
Yes.
world. Like, it has
And
been over a year.
important context. You know, he started the season coming off this, and not just a heartbreak, but the complete loss of his future. He thought he was going to marry this girl. She made it clear to the world she was never interested in marrying this guy. We knew as an audience. But he didn't. Like for him, that was it. And he thought he'd like found his person. And so that is really, really, really important context going into this season.
I totally agree. Like, they
Yeah.
picked up cameras real quick after
Yep.
the season ended last year. So we're ending the season with Austin and Craig going through this huge moment where they were in the Bahamas and Craig's kind of saying, "I can't just go out and be single yet because I can't be drinking. Struggling with substance abuse." And, I think we're just able to, again, maybe just have a little bit more of our cap on, or maybe of our psychology lens, our pop therapy lens a little bit, that we're able to see, yeah, that this is just not black and white. Like, the substance abuse alone too that Austin has the problem with is that
Mhm.
he's not getting how Craig can just be drinking now all of a sudden. And even in the reunion, and of course we will get to the reunion. I just wanted to summarize first, but they're talking about how even Craig says it's been a year.
Yeah.
And I think that it's just not linear for everybody. Again, that's another thing that we have to remember. Like, expressing that you're struggling with your relationship with alcohol does not mean he didn't declare that he was going to be sober. He didn't
Yeah.
start a program. He didn't go into a sober lifestyle and then like default on that. He
Yep.
didn't really make that kind of a promise to anybody. So
Yeah.
everybody else was just holding him to these standards. So it's like we have
Yes.
him coming out of this breakup. We have him being vulnerable and explaining, like, yeah, I can't really handle my alcohol that
Mhm.
well right now. And maybe I don't want to be doing that as much as I used to right now. And just that's all being rolled into a ball and then being brought into this new season. So there is
Mhm.
a lot of context, like you said. It's
Yeah.
just not that simple to say he's an alcoholic and he's a fuck boy and he's a
Yes.
narcissist. Like, these
Yes.
labels are crazy.
Crazy, especially because of who is giving him the labels. Like Austin, who I have always loved. Like, I know in a weird way, like, I've just always really enjoyed Austin. I've never had a problem with him. But to see him so focused on labeling Craig when Austin, like, I can smell the booze off him through the TV. Like, that guy is the one standing over Craig, screaming and yelling and triggered and reacting. And I can understand, and I don't want to skip too far ahead. I can understand having a reaction to someone like that. They are like family. They've been together for 11 years through a roller coaster. They've had a business together, a podcast together. They've got, they've probably been in plenty of Eiffel Towers together, let's be honest.
Yes.
But the relationship has changed many times in recent years. And Austin just has not felt like he's understood any decision Craig has made. He wasn't happy when he was in a relationship with Paige. He felt left out. He wanted Craig out at the bars. He wanted him to spend time alone with him. And then he got what he wanted, and suddenly that's not good enough. And he's got every problem with him about going out to the bars and being single. The timelines of life have not aligned for them for a few years. But I just think, like, at what point do you look at yourself in the mirror and be like, man, like, I'm screaming that this person's got a problem with alcohol, but like, I haven't been sober in about 17 months. Like, I
Yes,
just, the
it's a judgment.
hypocrisy and yeah, yeah,
That's totally what it is. It's like, who are you guys to be holding me when
yeah.
yeah, it's just crazy. So I just had to like reiterate again what a
Hmm.
tough place Craig already had coming into this season. He said off of a fresh breakup that was not just some like fling, like you said, the
Yeah,
loss of his future.
yeah,
He's struggling with his relationship with Austin because Austin's not understanding any of the choices he's making in his life. They're just
yeah.
not seeing eye to eye. And then on top of that, he's also got beef with Vanita. And
Yes.
Vanita's coming in hot this season because she is also staunchly still team Paige and holding on to the grudge and carrying the torch basically for all of the Craig. She knows that she's got to do that and she's got to like hold that place. So
Yeah.
then he's just got a lot of hills that he's like up against coming into the
Yeah.
season. And I feel like he actually came in feeling light.
Yeah. He's like,
Imagine
"Well,
like he had
I'm,
all
like,
of these
dipping my
things.
toe back into,
Yes.
like, the dating pool," and as Shep said, he's not a fuck boy. He's not out there, like, hooking up with every random. In fact, he's the guy that needs to be convinced that you even, that you actually have a crush on him before he'll even think about making a move. So it's not even like, he's turned into this debaucherous, like, embarrassing Lothario.
Yeah.
It's just none
It's just
of it
not his
made sense.
personality.
No, no.
It's so strange. Like, they really try
Yeah,
to make him to be something that he's not,
yeah.
and it is definitely one of the craziest it's giving me some shades of some other shows, but yeah, we'll get into that more.
Mm,
So, at least
okay.
then okay, so now coming into the new season, we're like, "Okay, where does Craig stand good with?" And he's good with Shep.
Yep,
Shep's his boy still. They're hanging
yep.
out, and now we see that there have been basically parties, or I don't know if these are like after parties that are going on in Craig's hot tub. Like,
Yeah,
it sounds like they're in there quite a bit.
yeah,
And I don't know if they're just all going like they're going out at night and then going there afterwards, or if they're starting at Craig's house and just all hanging out there all the time. But it sounded like there were
yeah.
like quite a few of these off-screen hot tub parties
Yes.
that happened in the time before the filming began. And
Mhm,
so we see in this first season or the first episode of the season, they kind of open up and everyone's kind of talking about the hot tubs and talking about Craig being single again. And we see Sally's starting to talk about having
mhm.
feelings for him. So that's something that got introduced to us in the beginning of the season, a
Yes.
potential Sally and Craig, flirtation relationship. But then we also have new people being brought in, like Charlie and Whitner. So the season kind of did get scrambled up a little bit. I could see that they were like, okay, we got to bring some new people in. I liked that they kind of brought in like a potential love interest for Craig. Like
Yeah,
I feel like the producers actually like they helped him out a lot this season.
yeah,
And even at the reunion, they were able to flash back and stuff like that. I feel like they were really trying to have Craig's back because I think they
yeah.
do see it was like a pile on. And I love that they brought Charlie in. Now, it didn't end that well, but I did
Mm,
enjoy her on the season.
yeah.
I felt like she was a good addition. And I liked seeing him date her.
Mhm,
And really, again, the biggest complaint it seems that Charlie had in the end was, of course, she didn't like the way that he acted when, he screamed at Sally on the van, which again, it's like,
mhm.
"Oh my god, how many times these freaking spinner vans always come back to bite
Yes.
us?" Like,
Seriously, it's always
they're
the van.
demonic.
Yes,
They're portals to hell, and they should not be
totally.
allowed in the spinner vans anymore.
Yeah.
But besides that, there
Yeah.
wasn't a ton of yelling this season. We
Mhm.
really started getting into the first fights of this season when Whitner has his first party, and he throws the literary party.
Yes.
And that's the first time we see that there's tension still between Austin and Craig.
Mhm.
Like, up until this point, we're kind of thinking, like, everything's kinda good. Austin's with Audrey still, like,
Yep.
they didn't really it didn't seem like they were starting the season off like they were really in that bad of a place. But I think, like we were saying earlier, the disconnect is really that they have not been on the same timelines together. Like, they're always
Yeah.
single, and then the other person's not single, and then the other person it's and they're not
Yeah.
able to, like, sync up and double
Yeah.
date and, like, do all the
Yeah.
things.
And,
And
like we heard at the reunion, they used to be, the kings of King Street, and they
yes,
would go and, like, tear it up
terrorize.
and yeah, terrorize, and, they probably loved the fame, and the fame was even more of an asset when they were together, and so the
Yes.
3 of them
Shep
were
too, yep.
yeah, were just, like, single men killing it on the mean streets of Charleston,
That's
and
really what it is. It's like they're
yeah,
stronger together and they're like
yeah,
a band of brothers, and it really they were, like, betrayed by
yeah.
Craig getting into a relationship,
Yeah, yeah,
and they're
because
still mad about it.
yeah, everything kind of, like, fell away at that point, and, I think also my kind of read on it was Craig sort of started to rise above the life that he'd had with those guys, which was single, party lifestyle, and this happens to so many of us when we get in a relationship that our life evolves and we, don't wanna go out and party in the same way, and we've, like, obviously got different interests and priorities, and that seemed very clear, and suddenly he, like, is focused on this Martha Stewart kind of world that he's, found himself in, and like his beautiful home and like wanting a completely different life for himself. And there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, it should be commended, but Austin wasn't there. And I feel like what was there is whether he's conscious of it or not, it was almost probably a sense of Craig maybe feeling like he was better than Austin and that his life was moving in a better direction and Austin was still in the same kind of lower place. And, maybe Craig, said as much. But I feel like that's where the disconnect started to happen and the resentment started to build because Austin was kind of a bit like, who are you to act like your life is better than mine? But at the same time, wanting Craig to like come back down to his level. So I
Yes.
feel like there was just that disconnect there.
That's so true. I completely agree with all of that. I think that that's really the like nut that they're trying to crack with what's going on with them. And like, if only they could communicate and even admit to each other.
Yeah.
Like, I do wonder if Craig could say, hey, like, I can totally admit, they really say Craig's incapable of this, but I would like
Yeah.
him to push back a little bit more. And even with his behavior, like,
Hmm.
show them, and he did. They were able to, again, flash back to his apologies and prove, like, he is able to apologize, and he is
Yeah.
able to notice when he's done something wrong. Like,
Yeah.
he's not living in total Delulu land. Like, he
Yeah.
is somewhat self-aware. He is.
Hmm.
He could be a little
Yeah.
tad more,
Yes.
you
We
know?
we've
We all
all
have
got things
room
we
for
can work
improvement.
on. That's right.
We're all a work in progress.
That's right. That's right.
And I just died, like, I
Yeah.
really loved, like, starting to get into the reunion and kind of where they're at now. It seems like they're able to look back even at times during filming and kind of see, like, even till now, it's just not as intense as it was before. It
Yeah.
was more just not as enough time had passed. It was like there were just still a lot of things going on, and I think one thing that they don't talk about because it would break the fourth wall too much is the gigglers.
Yes.
The immense amount of noise and negativity that is coming from the fandom that I really think Austin was actually influenced by. And I
Mm,
think he started
great
to be like,
point.
I want the women. I He wants to be one of the girls. Like, he kind
Yeah.
of does like being known as that personality.
Mhm.
And I think that he just really saw that the world was seeing Craig a certain way, and he bought into it instead of, like, sticking
Yeah.
up for his friend and having his friend's back and trying to convince the world that they're,
Yeah.
"No, you have it wrong. Yes, my guy, he makes mistakes, but this is my
Yeah.
dude." Like, that's what they really needed this season, and, like, we never got it.
Yes. Totally. It's like the Ariana Vanderpump season where the girls had an opportunity to band together and they went the opposite way and it ruined it.
Yes, it's a
And
missed opportunity, and let this
yeah,
be a cautionary tale. You're bringing up such a good point. If they cannot get the conflict resolution figured out in this friend group, like, it
yeah,
will be done.
yeah, yeah,
It will
because
end.
it's actually, I think, another season of Austin and Craig in this place will not be fun to watch at all. And, the peanut gallery, who are, all of these new cast people who are just honestly like eye rolling and smirking and, poking and piling on, under kind of Austin's conscious or not direction. They're loving that pylon, and, that's just gonna be like, I can't imagine anyone wanting to kind of come back and film like that, and it's just gonna be, Craig having, like, side dinners with Shep or Whitney and the rest of them, like, bitching in a bar and being drunk and embarrassing and not seeing a problem with that.
Right.
Yeah.
Ugh, what are we gonna do with these guys?
I
Okay, we
know.
cannot let this show get canceled or rebooted.
No.
Like, we need
No.
them to get their shit
Yeah.
together. So, as if
Yeah.
you're listening, please listen to the next conversation we have regarding the reunion and what
Mm,
we think we can do. Now, one thing that really scared me is that they did not show a preview for the next part of the
I
reunion.
know. Why not?
So, I guess I have 2 I don't know, I've been thinking about this since last night because it's like it
Okay.
ends and you think you're gonna get the preview for next week, and then I'm like, "How am I
Yeah.
supposed to go to sleep now?" Like, I
Yes,
don't know what
totally.
happens next week, and I think it's
Yes.
gotta be for a reason. Something
Yeah.
must happen either where there's some kind of an argument that they can't come back from,
Yeah.
where it maybe shows some finality or maybe like, again, leaves us in a place of like, well, how the hell, like, they don't like to leave things in a place like that.
Yeah.
And my other speculation was like, maybe they hug it out and they just
Yeah.
didn't want to show us that because they
Yep.
want us to be doing what we're doing right now and driving
Yeah.
ourselves crazy trying to figure out what's going to
Yes.
happen.
Yep.
'Cause it's
Yep.
like that would be too like, if they showed us that, we would almost be like, "Oh, well, we know they're gonna make up." Like, I don't know, and I'm
Yeah.
still confused by their Watch What Happens Live
I
together
know.
because I was trying to decipher body language and answers to see they
Yep.
weren't giving like they're in a great place.
I know, but then they went out for dinner with Andy and John Mayer, didn't they?
True,
And,
true,
like,
they did. When John Mayer's involved, I mean, they're like,
yeah.
okay, all of a sudden they're friends again.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
They
But
clout
yeah.
chase so much too. That's the thing.
Yeah. Yeah,
They
and I
love the
just
fame just as much.
they of course they do. Yeah, they
Yes.
love
They're
it.
2 sides of the same coin, Craig
Yeah.
and Austin. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, these guys.
Yeah.
Okay, so we meet them at the reunion,
Okay.
and Andy gets right into it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm thinking because I'm laughing about how the way the finale ended, they're at the Carolina Day party. We have Austin basically storming out of the party. We
Yeah.
have Craig basically storming out, kind of being done with everything. We have Sally chasing all down the street
Oh
basically.
my god, honestly. Sally, Sally, Sally,
Wow, she
Sally.
really set, like, women back
Yeah. I
a
mean, the
lot this year.
reunion, wow. Like, there is so
Yeah.
much to say about the Sally and Austin of the reunion.
No, you
Whoa.
could cut the tension in the room with a knife,
Yeah.
and there's just something so different. I don't know what it is, like, I just felt like they got right into it this year, like, I don't know, usually the first episode and because it's only 2 parts, maybe I'm thinking they
Yeah.
just were like, "Let's just
Cut the
fucking get right
fluff.
into it." Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe because it started so strongly, like, we have Whitner starting to pipe up, he's getting right into the
Yeah.
mix right away.
Yeah.
Everybody seems like they're ready to kind of, like,
Yeah.
lay it out on the table, like Venita says too. And I'm still mad at Venita because
Yes.
she never approached Craig one
Yeah.
time.
Yep.
The whole season ended last season, and they never got to sit down a one-on-one.
Yep. I know. And, like, it was the fight that just, like, the one-sided beef that she had with him for so long, like, "Mate, you are," like, she was taking up it was just like, we as an audience can see, like, she obviously is trying to be friends with the Summer House crew, and she obviously, I reckon, she idolizes Paige. Paige is doing all the things that Vanita kind of wishes she was
Yes,
doing in fashion and, podcasting and all of that stuff. And yes, Vanita's an influencer, but she's nowhere near the level of Paige.
agreed.
And Paige has kind of gone a bit mainstream now. And so I think she was just like all up Paige's ass, even though Paige didn't even seem to be aware of her. Like, it was another one-sided affair, you know? So that was frustrating to watch to begin with. And then I'm sorry, but when he finally said, like, "Vanita, you don't even exist in my world," I was like, "Yes! Like, tell her." She has just
Yes.
been like a little gnat in his face or around him to his friends for the entire season. And of course he's hearing about it. Of course he's catching wind of it all. I'm sure the producers are telling him. I'm sure everybody else is like, this is what she's saying. You need to go and address it. And he's like, nah, I'm not going to deal with it. And then finally, she's having another go. Like, I think Austin needs to stand up for himself. Like, Austin doesn't need any help standing up. He, needs to stand up less.
Yes, he needs
And
to sit down.
and so Craig, I feel like, was completely right. He's like, "You have no idea what you're talking about and you don't exist in my life." Was it mean? Yes. Did she deserve it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, that is
Yeah.
it. Is
Yeah.
Craig a little mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what? There's a big difference between being, like, a little bit of an asshole and
Yeah.
being, like, a full-blown narcissist. So,
Yes.
I
And I
can't believe
think
that that's the approach that they took coming into the reunion. Like, and I wonder too,
seriously.
housewives have always speculated about these, like, little meetings that go on before
Mhm.
the reunion. And
Yeah.
I'm wondering, like, is this a group concerted effort for a Craig takedown?
Yeah.
Or is this really genuinely everyone's individual feelings? Like, I really don't know how everyone can
Yeah.
feel this way about him,
I'm going to say
but
something mean now, but I actually think between Austin, Sally, and I'm sorry, but Charlie, I don't think they're very bright. Okay. And I just think they pick up on something and kind of like go along with it. I think Austin has genuine, complex, complicated feelings about Craig.
yes.
That's fine. They've got 11 years of history. Well, not quite 11. Austin came in a bit later, but they've been friends for a very, very long time. And as we said before, they've got a very complex history together. He has a right to kind of be reactive and have his own stories. Everyone else piling on, and I didn't like as well was Whitner, who I really enjoyed throughout the season, who was kind of a voice of reason and did seem to kind of have Craig's back. It was like reminiscent of Paige, the way she used to come in summer house reunions. We wouldn't hear a peep from her. She's like unconscious in her bed on her phone the whole season.
Yeah.
And then suddenly she comes into the reunion and she's sniping and angry and opinionated. It's like suddenly she's come to work, and she's woken
Yes.
up to do something.
Yep,
Like,
and that
if
goes back to production like you mentioned earlier. Like, I do believe that production does play a big unseen part,
yeah,
and we know how many things were spoke about off camera,
yeah,
and even, just little rumors and things all season, and just how they have to get them to address it on camera then. Like, okay, you guys
yep,
already basically talked about this and, like, thought about this, but, like, bring it up again, rehash it, and then, like, there's always something new that comes out about it.
yes,
So, I feel like there was so much juicy stuff in this reunion. Like,
yes, so
I
much.
was glued to my
Yeah,
TV because
same.
it just I don't know what it was. Like, I don't know if everyone just came so ready to be vulnerable or what, but, like, it just felt like everything everybody was saying had some weight to it,
Yeah,
and it just felt good. It did feel really raw.
yeah.
So, I mean, it didn't
I
end in the
thought
best place, but
no. Didn't you find it interesting as well that Madison was throwing Austin under the bus so much with Sally? Like, they're
yes.
besties. Like, they're like,
Yes.
she calls him her gay best friend. And
Yes.
she was like throwing him.
Oh, yeah. I think that this is like what they say, revenge is a dish best served cold. I
Yes.
think she has, like, been waiting. Like,
Yeah.
Austin embarrassed her and just
Yeah.
totally, like, ruined I mean, I'm so glad that she was able to prevail. I know she is not everybody's favorite, but I do enjoy her.
Yeah.
And I just think that she's able to see it from a bigger picture and not be so petty in the moment and
Yeah.
wait and be a little more calculated. And
Yeah.
I actually felt that she even started the beginning of the season because it's funny, I kind of wrote out, like, everyone's little storylines, and I had Madison's storyline for the season just being pregnant
Yeah.
and messy when it comes
Yes.
to Audrey. So
Yes.
every time she had a chance to comment on how Austin as a boyfriend was being,
Yes.
she was like that was like her moment. You could see her inside of
Yep.
her that it gets her. And
So
I think the
true.
minute she sniffed out that there was something nefarious going on,
Yeah.
she knew it's like she's getting triggered. It's PTSD. Like, Austin did the same thing to her and cheated on
Yeah.
her and lied to her face
So
and
true.
probably said so many times there was nothing going on when there was. And
Yes.
it just there's something as a woman, like, you've gotta when you are a true girl's girl, she
Yeah.
is gonna actually stand up for Audrey
Yeah.
and not Austin, and that felt so
Yeah.
good.
But then, I completely agree with everything you just said. But then I feel like the flip side of that is she's apparently friends with Sally. So
Yes.
although she's being a girl's girl, she actually was not being a girl's girl to Sally in those moments with Audrey. So, and
Yep.
then, like she also, while throwing Austin under the bus, she was humiliating Sally because she got him to basically say that, he's never going to date her. He has no interest in her. She's too much of a slut, basically, is what he was
Yes.
saying. The body count, he said himself. Although the thing that was a bit talked over, what he said was it wasn't just a matter of the body count, but it was like the body count of people I know, and I think that
Yes.
makes it slightly different
Oh,
again.
yep, you're right, it got talked over, and I in that
Yeah.
moment too, and it also helps going back and watching, like, the uncensored versions,
Yes.
because sometimes they're bleeping too, and you're, like, missing
Yeah.
some other people's responses. So
Yeah.
you're right. The bigger picture is that now Sally has knocked on the door of all 3 of Shep, Austin, and Craig.
Yeah, and I
So
think there's more. He was I heard Craig say somewhere that she'd hooked up with Corey at some point. So there's literally, like, everyone around. I mean, gross.
you learn something new
Gross.
every day. I thought I knew every one of her hookups.
No, I think there
Corey
are
is one I
more.
did not have on the list, but it
I
makes perfect
know.
sense. They actually
Yeah,
would make a great couple,
they
I think.
would be. They're both kinda dirty in the same
They
way.
are.
Yeah,
Yes. Like, she has an
yeah,
interesting personality. Like, I love
yeah.
the juxtaposition of watching her and Charlie this season,
Mm,
and just, they're representing 2 different kinds of girls, and yeah,
yeah,
it was just interesting. So, like they get into the reunion, Andy goes through, he's introducing to everybody. I love when he goes around his little circle and just kinda, like,
yeah,
gets everybody amped up. And then
yeah,
I love how he asks Craig right away too, like, "Did you watch the season back?" And Craig pulls
yeah,
a Jax, and he's like, "No, I
yeah.
lived it."
It's such a shame because, like,
Pisses
there
me
is
off a little
so
bit.
much that he needed to see
Yes.
about what everybody was saying, you
Yes.
know? I don't even think for his own behavior, because I honestly don't think his behavior was out of pocket. I feel like it was absolutely reacting to long-term antagonizing from people. And, like, I think it would be helpful for him to hear what everyone else is saying, and Sally is not your friend, Craig. She is absolutely not.
No, they have a real it's so funny in these reality TV friend groups. It's very reminiscent of Vanderpump Rules, the way
Yeah.
that they're able to just throw each other under the bus,
Yes.
like, for the good of the show.
Yeah.
Like, they really, at the end of the day, do know that they're making a show, and even though they're
Yeah.
not able to fully say that, I know Sally in the back of her head is thinking, like, "I gave everybody so much to talk about." Like, and
Yeah.
even Craig too, like, they all just bring so much to the table, and that's why it's such a good ensemble cast, and
Yeah.
even with Whitner, like we said, we talk about him piping up a little bit in the beginning,
Mm.
and again, it has to do with that Page effect of, like,
Yeah.
now I this is my last chance to say something. I haven't had my contract renewed. So it is like a
Yes.
Hail Mary situation of, like, okay, I do need to create as much of a buzz around myself in this last moment to make sure that
Yeah.
I'm getting asked back, that I'm showing that I do care. Like, it's really just
Yeah.
showing that you make an effort
Yeah.
instead of just sitting there the whole
Totally.
time, which
Yeah.
some people do. And that's again, yeah, it really pisses me off that Craig's not watching back this season because again, it's like that effort. Like, it's the
Mhm.
effort of taking like that's the one note I have from otherwise he's my
Yeah.
perfect king. I'm just like, "Damn it, he had a good chance there to watch it and come and have at least the chance to say, 'I'm not proud of what I saw about myself, and
Yeah.
I learned something.'"
Yeah.
Even just bullshit that out.
Totally.
But no, it's sad that
Totally.
he didn't watch it, that kinda scared me a little
I
bit, but
know.
he did say he was 100% himself, and,
Yeah.
okay, great. Like, that's all we can ask of our reality TV stars is that at least they think they're being vulnerable, they think they're being their authentic selves.
Yeah.
So he
Yeah.
gets an A for effort in that
Yep.
sense, but Whitner calls out right away that Craig announces he's trying to be more peaceful in this new
Yeah.
Craig's in this new place right now,
Yeah.
and he's calling for peace in the Middle East and peace
Yes.
in Southern charm, and Whitner right away is like, "Well, I just don't think yelling is peaceful," and it it's like it's very clear to me that, okay, like, that is the one thing they have on him. He gave him
Yeah.
the ammo. He did yell in the Sprinter van and broke
He
down
did,
and
but, then I, like, look at the last 2 episodes, Austin was the one standing up, standing over Craig, screaming at him, telling him he's a psycho, he's an alcoholic, "You're a fucking problem," all of those things, and, like, Craig was literally sitting there, calm, quiet, not raising his voice, not changing his body language, nothing. So if we're going to hold Craig to this standard, we have to hold Austin to the same standard. And Austin has screamed at women. Shep has
I
screamed
know.
at women.
I know.
Shep
Unfortunately,
called
like you
Taylor
said,
a
it's
fucking idiot.
yes, it's
Like,
like the short-term memory problem
yes.
of the fans. They can't think back to last season. Like, I always have to think of the seasons before to put myself in that place. That's why I get
Yeah.
so mad when I find out people start watching and don't go back and watch previous
Yes.
seasons.
Yes.
I'm like, "What are you talking about?" There is
Yes.
so many layers to these conversations. Like, if you were to just jump in season 11, you would definitely yeah, you would believe everything being said about all of them
Yeah. Of
because
course.
they're just really drilling it home. It's like, "Let's
Yeah.
give our
And they're
guy a
trying to
break."
kind of like give the story that, Craig is this really unhinged, dangerous person and that, he yelled at me in front of my mother. Like, well, what did you do, Sally? What did you do? Like, where did it come from? You are not even slightly a tiny bit innocent in any of this. Like, she's that person who pokes and pokes and pokes and pokes and then cries victim when you react, Like, she has been instrumental in his, like, mental health decline this entire
Yes.
season, you
Yes,
know?
she has.
And in
I hope
fact,
that
actually,
she
I
can
take it
recognize
back.
that.
Not this entire season, just after he rejected her. That's when
Right.
it turned. Before that, she could not keep his name out of her mouth from an obsessed way. Craig's hot tub. I was Craig. I've got all Craig's t-shirts and I was at Craig's again last night and Craig. And then he rejected her and suddenly he's a problem.
Yep.
It's just
It
so
was
like,
so apparent to me.
yeah,
And I was really confused how other people weren't getting that, and
yeah,
they didn't really address that too much yet. Like, I feel like this
yeah,
first episode of the reunion was still kind of, like, going over everybody's kinda little intros and stuff, and we didn't get into, like, the meat of that conversation yet, but I'm interested in part 2, what we
yeah.
can expect from getting a little bit more into Sally's feelings for Craig, because they
Mhm.
were real,
Yep.
and she, I think, saw herself taking the new Paige's place,
Yep.
taking her place on the throne,
Bringing the
putting the
chickens.
jewels on,
Yeah.
and it did not go that way, so
Yeah.
it's just, like it's so obvious to me that she's just butthurt.
It's outrageous. Like, we cannot forget any of that. Like, this stuff
No,
happened,
but then
you
Andy
know?
goes around in a circle, of course, like he
Yeah.
does, and he's asking everybody, like, "Well, why doesn't everybody want Whitner?"
Yes.
And I thought this was so good. It's, like, finally to get to the bottom of it too, and I just feel like Whitner is good casting for this reason because, like, I just think he is a perfect archetype of a certain Southern guy
Mm,
and a certain just type of guy that's out there,
yeah.
and I'm just so glad Sally caught that and that he wasn't able to, like, get the good guy full edit of the
Mm,
season because they do usually kind of give everybody that nice guy edit or the first season's always, like, the best season for everybody,
yeah.
and it really is funny that, like, editing everything aside, we never would have suspected a thing. But little
Yeah.
Miss Sally, our little chaos agent, could not keep her mouth shut. And on
Yeah.
Watch What Happens Live, she did start the little spark that maybe
Yep.
Whitner is a little bit of, not all that.
Yeah.
And even though he's
Yeah.
getting pushed on everybody, and I just thought that that was, like, such a good it's almost like the overall theme of the whole show since season 1 of just, like, how these men are,
Yeah.
like, kind of awful.
Yeah.
They're all douchebags.
Absolutely. And
They're
they're
all little
entitled
assholes.
and
Yes.
now they're famous, and that is not a great
Yes.
combination.
when you come from these families that have these names and these, like,
Yeah.
Southern, like, they really put that on a pedestal down there, even going back to with, like, Catherine Dennis and her coming
Yes.
from the bloodline,
Yes.
it's like they really value that down there, and so you
Yeah.
can tell Whitner's definitely got that, like, little thing on him, and
Yeah.
it's just so nice to see the women be like, "No, no, no, you're not coming on here and just pretending. Like, you don't get to,
Yeah.
like, act a part, like, this is reality TV, basically,
Yeah.
and we're
Yeah,
gonna show
but
all sides of you."
I feel like that only happened like, if we had only seen the show, we all probably would have thought, "Yeah, Whitney's, like, such a good guy, like,
Yeah.
lovely family, so nice." And then it's all the other stuff that's starting to come out. At first, when Sally said that stuff about him, I was like, "Shut the fuck up, Sally. I don't care what you have to say. I don't believe." It's a political thing. She's MAGA, he's not.
Right?
So that's what I brushed it off as, and
Yes.
then the other bits started to come out, and he showed himself to me at the reunion. I was like, what? Like, what? What do you think about the Venita spin? Like, suddenly now she's interested in Whitner?
Swear to God, I have that in my notes because, like, that's what I'm getting to next is like, okay, we all know the point really going back is like, okay, you're at the reunion, you're kind of this is your interview to get hired
Yeah,
back. So like it's again wrapping up all it's showing you again like why I deserve to be here. And I just feel like that was such a little seed planted. And
yeah,
looking back at JT and
yep,
now with the situation, even with Craig, even though it was still a weird relationship
yeah,
that he clung onto to make herself
yep.
relevant.
Yeah. And same with
It's like
Sally. Sally was that for her as well because Sally, had inserted herself into the center of the group because she'd hooked up with all the guys and she's like leads with sex and sexuality. And so we saw the way that Sally got sort of very possessive about the guys. And Shep called that out in Mexico because she like is very clear that that's like her place. She wants to be in the middle of all those guys and be the number one girl. And Venita was clinging to her. And I wonder if Venita was the stepping stone for Sally because Venita was already there to get into the guys.
yes.
And then she's kind of dropped Venita because she made her way in because she's hooked up with Shep and then she's all over Craig and now she's hooking up with Austin. Like,
Wow, that's such a
you
good
know?
point. I think you really found something there because I have wondered, like, how Sally got here so fast.
Yeah.
Like we blinked and all of a sudden she's like
Yeah.
the center of this show,
Yeah.
and I do think that that is very questionable even going back to her relationship with Madison and stuff. It's like, I'm curious because we don't get to see the girls, the show is so male focused, and, like, I
Yeah.
love that actually, like, to
Yeah.
me, Southern Charm is about the guys, and
Same.
fully
That's the
am
show.
I love that about the show. I don't want it to be about the girls. I don't
Yeah.
wanna I just don't.
We've got all the other shows for that. All the
Yeah.
housewives, everything.
Yes, exactly. So I appreciate, the dynamics of the group and stuff, but you're right, there are so much politicking that goes on and
Yeah.
staying, in you just she seems to be good at planting the seeds and then, I hate to bring it up, but she is the only person of color on the cast. And
Mhm.
that does seem to also be a big I don't want to say a selling point for her because, I don't wanna reduce her to that. I just want to acknowledge that it's important to have the representation of her on the
Yeah.
show and that, I think that she's there for multiple purposes and she is a true friend in the group, but she just has not been able to have a real, like, footing, and
Yeah.
I like her in the after show even a little bit more.
Yeah.
She seems a little lighter and a little more and I don't know if it's just editing or what that we're not seeing
Yeah.
this other side of her that
It's
she
like
is I just
yeah,
can't like her. I
there's
haven't
like a
liked her yet.
no, and look, I
She
haven't
seems a little desperate.
yeah, and I think I wasn't really a fan of her. I met her at BravoCon, and I did one of those, things where you could go and hang out with them, and you get a drink and
Fun.
everything. It was fun. But she was like I was like, "Oh, it's Madison, yay, and Venita. Oh, cool." And but she was so much fun. Like high energy, like not I would never have known it was the same person. She was really tall, like she had some high heels on, but she was absolutely just like such amazing fun energy. And then I see her on the show and it's like who is this person? This
Yes.
season, she was like reduced to this teenage girl. She's like thrilled with anything bad happening to Craig or being right. She's gloating and giggling and so immature in her delivery of everything. And, even at the reunion, she's sitting there anytime anyone Craig's saying anything, she's like making faces and eye rolling and like it's
She
like,
can't help
my
herself.
God.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she really can't help herself. And another point, that happened, and they get into this in this first part of the reunion, is the situation that happens where Vanita reveals that Molly had her labiaplasty.
Mhm.
And it is so crazy the way they flash back. And like you said, she's
Yeah.
giggling. She's
Yeah.
actually excited. You see glee in her
Yes.
face to tell
Glee is
Sally.
the word. Yeah. Yeah.
She felt excited, like, she had a
Yeah.
bone, and
Yeah.
it was, like, in her she was so pumped to bring it to the group, and it's
Yeah.
on camera. It's just
Yes.
so cringe, it's such poor taste,
Yeah.
and you can see, again, it's that desperation, like, she needs a moment so bad.
Yeah.
So she's like,
Yeah.
"Okay, fuck, I'm only talking about Craig, like, this is okay,
Mhm.
now I have a little bit of something to get me in
Yeah.
with some drama with the girls," and
Yeah.
just the way that she brings up Sally and Molly's labiaplasty, and then we get in to find out that Molly actually is in a relationship with her 56-year-old band partner,
Yes.
I believe he's somebody that,
Yes.
produces music with her. Seems
Yeah.
like everybody on the couches likes this guy, and he seems
Yeah.
great, but I'm curious, like, what the future will be for her too. Like, it seems like
Yeah.
everybody kinda seals their next season things, like, Vanita's teasing dating Whitner, and
Yeah.
she made up and apologized with Sally too, like, you have to sit there with your tail between your
Mhm.
legs and suck it up, and she did. She's like, "Fuck, I gotta take all the heat for
Yeah.
this whole thing, because if I'm gonna come back next season, like, I gotta do it." And
Yep.
just like Craig alluded to that too, when he like storms out, he's like, "Fuck, I gotta sit there and just take this shit," like,
Yeah.
because they know, like,
Yeah.
this is confrontation to my face. I have to
Yep.
be open to it. I have to be receptive,
Yeah.
and they're there to perform. Mm,
Yeah.
there's just so
Totally.
much. Like, I like the way
So
that they got
much.
into the way the girls fought this season and
Yeah.
highlighted that.
Yeah, and, like, it all comes down for me to like a need for attention. Sally's like desperate for attention from all the boys, but also wants to be the most important person to everyone. Everyone's her best friend, quote unquote.
Right.
Vanita was my best friend. Craig was my best friend. Austin's my best friend. Madison's my best friend. Like, she has got to be the most important person at all times. And I think it's complete delusion. She's not the most important person. And the way that
Totally.
Austin, like, dragged her to think that she's still going on this, like, publicity tour as if they're really, in something, and then he crushed her again on Watch What Happens Live saying, Sally's going on this media blitz saying, like, "We're really hot and heavy," and it's not at all. But she's sitting on the couch saying that, like, they go out and Austin, like, hooks up with other girls, and she just kind of, like, has to be fine with it. And then he's basically saying, "I'm never ever gonna date her. None of you are gonna bully me into dating her. We've not slept together." I don't think they've slept together. I reckon she's acting weird because she probably gave him a blowjob. That's,
Yes. Yes.
like,
They said
I
they
don't.
did more than make out,
Yeah,
but
yeah, and I
But
reckon they
Madison calls them out too, and like you said,
yeah,
she gets really fired up, and I love when
yeah,
she comes for Austin. It's like some of my favorite little she would throw a little, like, beta, and like she used to,
yeah,
like, "Beta!"
yes,
I
totally.
would love for her to slip a little beta in, like, just
Yeah,
to get him again, like, remind
yeah,
him of where we can be, like,
totally,
because he gets a
totally.
little cocky thinking that him and Madison are best friends now, and
Yeah,
she's like, "Let me remind you real quick, like,
yeah,
don't get too comfortable here," because she's a girl
totally.
she actually is a girl's girl. I can't
But
believe it, like,
also
people wanna give her a hard time, but Madison's a girl's girl, I think.
she is. But you know what? Like, what you said before about them coming into the reunion, like, as an interview for their next season, I think that's kind of what she's doing a little bit too. Like, it just dawned on me now. She's had a
True.
baby. She's at home with her family. Like, what does she bring to the table? We
Yes. Oh,
can't
that's
just
such a
have.
good point.
So she's gotta come in
Yes.
here and she can't just, like, have cute lunches with Austin. Like,
Yep.
no, now we're like, "Ooh, Madison."
No,
Like,
you're right, she showed an eagerness to still wanna be there,
yeah,
and
and to
when
be in the
Andy asked her,
mess.
like, "Congrats on having the baby and everything," and she's like, "Yeah, I want more," and he's like, "Right
Yeah.
away," and she's like, "No, I'm gonna have a hot girl summer," AKA, "No, we're
Yes.
filming, and I'm gonna be
Yes.
filming, and maybe when we're
Yes.
done."
Yes,
So it's
totally.
kinda good to see her wanna be in the mix. She's important
Yeah,
to the dynamic, and I do think that if things start to get really out of control with Austin next season, and he really is up on his high horse like he is now, and she's
yeah,
trying to bring him back down because he really thinks that he is like he's got it all figured out,
yeah, yeah,
and that
totally.
he's above it all.
Yeah, completely. Like, I cannot believe
Exhausting.
where I've ended up with Austin this season compared to where I came in because, like, I was so excited to see him at BravoCon. Like, I had a joking agreement with my partner. I was like, "Now, if I find myself in a room with Austin and, like, there happens to be an opportunity for a, like, little makeout, like, what do you think?" Bearing in mind, maybe your
I'll
listeners
pass.
don't know, I've been with my partner for 11 years. We have 3 children and a dog and a mortgage. And like, this is like a real life thing, right? And
Yes.
he was like, "Do you know what? I think it'd be a great story. Go for it." And I was like, "Oh my God, like I really potentially have the whole pass for Austin. Now, oh my God, you couldn't pay me. You couldn't
No.
pay me to
I
go
know
there
how
now."
fast they, like, fall from grace.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I have a few like that too that I'm so sad about that now that I'm just like, dang it. And it is sad. Like, I feel like there is redemption available for all of them.
Yeah.
Like, looking over it, Shep had a pretty good edit this season. He got a little
Yeah.
messy playing some telephone here and there, and he was
Yeah.
doing a really good job at bringing the off-screen stuff on camera. So
Yes.
I saw Shep working this season.
Totally.
So, he got a lot of heat with the Sienna of it all last year.
Yes.
So, I think
You
that
pretty little
producers, of course,
freckled
and I
whip.
do believe production, like, does that. Like, I
Yeah.
think that they are very aware of, like, who's taking a lot of heat, who needs a break, who needs more of an edit, who needs to,
Yeah.
like, they're good at, like, rotating screen time kind of,
Yeah.
and, like,
Yeah.
who's in the hot seat.
Yeah, and if you think about, like, where Shep came from, if you wanna talk about drinking again, like, last season, he was getting blackout drunk in the Bahamas and sleeping, like, passed out next to the pool. He had a terrible blackout situation at BravoCon before, the year before. Like, he was serious, I mean, that's problematic drinking. Like, Shep came from, that place, and it felt like he was like, "Okay, I'm older and wiser. I'm learning from my mistakes." He had empathy for Craig in a way that none of the others did,
Yes.
and, he was like the older brother that we kind of needed a little bit this season.
Yeah, I really appreciated him playing that role. If he would have decided at any minute just to side with Austin, and it would have been just like curtains for Craig. Like,
Yeah.
I think Shep was like a saving grace for him. And
Yeah.
Rodrigo, too, can have his moments where he
Mm,
kind of plays both sides of the fence.
he
He's
does.
another one that I'm contemplating, like, next season. Like, even Madison kind of admitting in the reunion that it was, like, her idea for Rodrigo to get engaged to Tyler. I'm like, "Oh, that was that so that he could film?"
What?
Because I'm like, he literally had no other storyline this season
Oh
besides
my
getting
god.
engaged to Tyler. So if he didn't get engaged, he would have just been there randomly and not really
Wow.
having an anchor. So I'm like, these guys
Yes.
know, they're smart. Like, we've
Yeah.
been doing this for so long now. Like, we do know how these games work. And I do
Yeah.
think that in the off season, they're like, fuck, like, they don't want new people to be brought in.
Yeah.
There's a chance that they'll lose their job,
Yeah.
and they want to keep it the core group. So
Yeah.
I can see them like doing some work in the off season.
Yeah.
Love, these are our sports teams. I'm
I
like,
know, totally.
like, before filming starts. So it's like they're gonna
Yeah.
start filming. I mean, I imagine, I don't know, sometime in June or something, I think they usually do.
Okay.
It's usually hot.
It is. They always look so sweaty,
Ugh, it's
like,
disgusting.
yeah,
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm
humid.
curious to
Yeah.
see. So, like, we touched a little bit on how Austin is reflecting now on how Sally's came on so hot and heavy to him, and
Mhm.
how, they're finally getting around to getting his real feelings. And kind of,
Yeah.
it's interesting to me how everyone in the group really wants them to admit that they've had sex.
Yeah. I
Like, it's
know.
funny, I didn't think everyone cared so much, but I'm
Yeah.
curious if it's because it really grinds everyone's gears when you get to keep something off camera.
Yes,
So I think
totally.
everyone is just like, "Nope, nope,
Yeah.
everyone else has to talk about who we all slept with, like, you have to
Yes.
admit it." I don't think they
Yes.
really even care that it's, like, Sally
Yeah.
and Austin. I think that it's just the fact that they're trying to, like, keep a secret,
Yeah.
and everyone else is
Or
like, "No!"
or is it even worse than that, that
Or
it's like, trying to expose that actually Austin is not that into her. It's a random hookup of convenience when, probably they're out and she's all over him and he's got no other option. So he's like, yeah, all right, like, fine, we can have a little make
Oh
out.
my
But
gosh.
like,
There's specific wording that he kept saying where he kept saying, he's like, "We ain't fucking." He
yes,
kept saying it very specifically like that, and I'm like, I think he's trying to say that because he's trying to say present tense. Like, he's trying to be like,
yeah,
"We're not fucking now. As of
yeah,
a day ago, we have not been
yes,
intimate." He's trying to, like, use semantics, and everyone's like,
yeah,
"No, no, no." Like, "Okay, we still know that it has happened. So even if
yeah,
you guys are not in a place now, I don't know if you've had friends with benefits," and Andy finally calls it out, or Rodrigo says it. He's like, "So you
yeah,
guys are just friends with benefits. Like, just
yeah.
call it what it is. You're not dating. You're not
Yeah,
gonna date. You're
yeah.
not gonna have a relationship." But who knows how
I
much of
know,
that
but
they're trying to also
Sally's got
save.
a completely different perspective. Like, in
Yeah,
her
right.
mind, she's just, like, waiting for him to be ready, and she's gonna be the perfect wife and girlfriend for him. Like, it
No,
is
you're so
literally
right.
never, ever, ever, ever going to happen. He's basically spelled that out on television and then again on Watch What Happens Live. Like, how much more humiliation can you take? Her only way out of this is to now go on a podcast and, like, you rise above,
Yes.
crush him, like, fuck him, and then the women of the world, because this is how
Yes.
fickle the Bravo audience, like, we will turn on a dime, it'll be women supporting women. Where if she's like, "I'm not
Yes.
gonna stand for this anymore. He said all of these things at the reunion. These are the things he says to me in private. This is the public humiliation he's made me endure. I am done." People will have so much respect for her.
That's it. Like, that's what we need. Sally, girl,
Yeah.
please just gather yourself enough
Yeah.
to gather this man up.
Yeah,
Because
totally.
he's not really that great. Like, I think it's so weird that even though this reunion has been filmed however many weeks ago, really how
Yeah.
thick it was, she's saying that Austin has literally everything that she looks for in a man, is
Yes,
her quote. "He has
I
everything I
know.
look for." The whole comment about how if it was Craig's body with Austin's personality,
Yes. My
that's insane
god.
to me, actually, because yes,
Totally.
Craig's a good-looking guy, but Austin's
Yeah.
personality to me is so not what I look for in a person that I'm like, "Ah, no."
Yeah.
Like, I
Yeah.
would definitely take Craig's personality over Austin's
Yeah.
personality any day, but that's just me.
I
Oh,
know, but
I
I think she's just
understand.
obsessed with whoever she's obsessed with, and she just says the
Yes.
same things about them all, like, Craig was everything for her, and now Austin is everything for her, and there's probably 100 other guys in her past that were, like, the guy for her. All of the guys on
Yes.
Southern Hospitality that she's hooked up with, you
Yeah.
know?
No, seriously, so true. Like, I could literally talk to you for 4 hours about this one
Yeah,
thing. So
I
I'm
know.
already like, "Oh my gosh, I have to wrap it up." But,
Okay.
like, there's so many things. Okay, we have to talk about Charlie a little bit because
Yes.
I have just been stunned at the revelation to find out that she is dating Justin from Southern Hospitality,
Yes.
and now they're talking about in the reunion, they're bringing it up, like, okay, Sally was telling basically in the beginning when he started to show interest for her, like, "Don't go for her, she's talking to other guys," and it
Mhm.
sounds like, now when I'm looking back, the first picture I was able to find of Charlie and Justin together was in, like, October.
Oh,
So if they ended filming, if they start in June, they end like September or something.
when's Charleston Day or whatever
Oh,
it
yeah, when
was?
is Carolina Day? Oh my god, I have to
Carolina
Google it.
Day.
I have to find out because you're right, like,
Yeah.
Carolina Day was the last day of filming.
And, it would make perfect sense why she was hiding it and so reluctant for people to know anything because she was talking to somebody else the whole time.
Okay, yes. So wait, now I feel like I'm so off with my time, which I'm so glad that we did this research because it says Carolina Day is actually June 28th. So they
What?
must have started filming even way earlier,
Unless they're calling it Carolina Day. They're like,
and it's like,
but it's
not
actually filmed in
really.
August,
No,
you
you're
know?
so right. They're not expecting us to be doing investigative journalism on
Yeah.
this and calling
Yeah.
out because they do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, like
Okay,
what's
so
a
yeah,
what's
I'm
a
not gonna
really,
get
like,
hung up on
southern
that.
event we could have for, like, the finale? Like, what are some the Carolina Day, that's a big one. Let's do that
Yes.
on August 6th, you know?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
No, you're so right. Shoot, okay, I need to know more, but
Mm.
basically we find out at least, which is good, at least we're getting some of the timeline and, like, some of the information
Yeah.
figured out, but just Charlie was in a relationship pretty quickly, it seems like,
Yeah.
within a couple of months, weeks, whatever, after post-filming.
Yep.
And she's still dating him. So they're
Mm,
open now. And I'm wondering again, another question for next season is, are we going to get Charlie back? Is she going to be filming with Justin?
yeah.
Is Charlie a good enough? Like, what do you think? Is she going to come back?
I thought she was a great addition to begin with. And then, like, she just, her complete lack of spine started to just completely grate on me. I don't know what Sally has on her or why she's so afraid of Sally, but that became unbearable to watch. And the way that she would just kind of like, sit there agape at everything with like, her face like wide
Yes.
open to anything anyone was ever saying and then not really have the courage to speak her mind. It made me feel so like stressed and tense for her because what we thought was that she liked Craig and she was enjoying spending time with him, but she couldn't really call Sally out for any of Sally's behavior. She was just kind of like trying to like keep the lid on things all the time. And it
Yeah.
just felt like it was exhausting. And by the end of it, I was like, you know what? Like, good. Like, please, Craig, move on with your life. Let's find someone else,
Yes.
And it was just, yeah, the fact that she was running away from him the whole time and couldn't
I
confront
hated that.
anything. Like, I lost a lot of respect for her towards the end.
Yeah, I agree. She had a strong start. I really liked her. I enjoyed how she put up a little bit of some resistance in the beginning. Like she didn't just
Yeah.
roll over the first time Sally asked her. She got into
Yeah.
a little bit of an area of friction and was doing good there.
Yeah.
And I actually would have even accepted the fact that she flipped her script so fast if she would have just communicated it.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, she should have had that reality TV aware, like, "Okay, shit, like, I
Yeah.
need to have." You gotta have you take your moments where you can get them,
Yeah.
and she's literally running away from, like, the
Yeah.
finale fight.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
entire
totally.
production team is like, "Are
Yeah.
you fucking kidding me? We've given you
Yeah.
a job all season, and now
Yeah.
you're not even gonna break up with Craig on camera?"
Yes.
So, I mean, they
Totally.
eventually did corner her into a conversation, and
Yeah.
she appeased, but you can tell it was, like, late.
Yeah.
And that they had been
Totally.
there for hours, and they
Yeah.
had been, like, trying to get her to sit down with
Yeah.
him,
Yeah.
and they finally were like, "Okay, like, this is just gonna be the best that we can get,"
Yeah.
but I
Craig's
don't
gonna
know.
leave. You need to speak to him now.
Uh,
Like, okay, fine. Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
would
it
you
was just
bring
kinda
her
like a peter
back?
out. It
Yeah.
wasn't like a strong ending. It was
No.
just weird the way it went into the reunion then, and obviously, the main thread is Austin and Craig and their
Yeah.
fight and, like, the will they, won't they of their
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah.
So, episode 2 is gonna be I wish this was 3 parts. I wish it was
I
10 parts.
know.
I would watch
Same. I'll
them.
take 100.
I literally would watch a whole season of just a reunion of these guys.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
I'm loving it so
Totally.
much. I'm gonna miss them. Like, I always
Same.
for the last few years, I've been like, "Oh my god," like, my hell is actually the time that Southern Charm and Summer House are airing at the same time because it's
Yes.
like, I cannot take the fandom and it's just, like, overwhelming.
No.
But I'm gonna miss it when it's over next week.
I know, me too. And
So
I
I guess
just
we'll
have
just
like, I have to say again, like, we are defending Craig a lot, and, there are a lot of people that will be like, "Oh, well, we, hate women," you know?
right. Or we
Like,
wanna fuck Craig, and we
"Wanna
both
fuck
established
him."
that we're married women who have no
Yes.
interest in fucking Craig.
Yes. Although maybe I could, like, move the whole pass over. No, no,
Right?
not that I would. I
Yeah.
genuinely wouldn't. Like, I honestly am not, in love with him. I'm not attracted to him in that way. Like, I'm not, like, enamored with him. I truly feel like there has been an injustice here, and I think you can't look at all of this stuff without bringing your own things into it. And I think a lot of the people online who have a problem with Craig and are saying like he screams at women and he's dangerous and he's all of these things, I think I would challenge any of you out there to kind of reflect on what might have happened in your own life and what you might be projecting. Because if you just look at what's going on, nobody is innocent on this cast. Everyone, I mean, Shep was like revolting to a homeless person a couple of years ago. Like that's real and that's horrible. And we've all moved on and nobody's calling him a danger to society. Austin do you remember on Winter House and he screamed the fuck out of Amanda Batula? Like, told her, shut the fuck up. He told Madison she's a crazy person and gaslit the F out of her when he was having a threesome with those girls. But that's like the tip of the iceberg. It's like every season we see him losing his mind at women, at men, at people on the show. So I think there are double standards. It's completely misconstrued. And I think Craig is no worse than anybody else on this show. And we just need to kind of keep that in mind.
Yes, I agree. Those who are living in glass houses really should not be throwing stones. How it's it's the again, that self-awareness, like, film for them, like, they've
Yeah.
gotta be able to, like, just take a step out of themselves for just a minute and look
Yeah.
at the overall picture and look at the greater good of society,
Yes.
which is having this show on the air
Yeah.
and being the fun and interesting group of people that they can be, and just being watered down into these archetypes of reality TV characters. And there's just so much other negativity and abuse and
Yes.
gaslighting going on in the world. Like, I just don't
Yeah.
think, like, Craig is our biggest danger to society. Like, no, Craig isn't a
Yeah.
dangerous person. Nobody has
No.
ever claimed one time ever of having any type of a situation with Craig,
No.
aside from having their voice hired,
Yeah.
yelling. And
Yeah.
he's never had any type of dangerous thing.
No.
And yeah, I'm interested to see, like, we end the reunion with Craig walking off the set
Mhm.
and production signaling, like,
Yeah.
to cut because he starts to say, like, I don't even know if I'm coming back.
Yeah.
And so, do we think that he's alluding to the next season, or do we think he's just talking about that break that he walks off, and do we think he's not coming back? Like,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, look, he is prone to a little dramatic statement. So I
yeah,
wouldn't be surprised if he meant, like, I don't even know if I'm going to come back. Like, how can I keep filming this show with these people? They're all, the pylon. Like, the best thing that will happen for this show is Sally to separate herself from Austin. And then Vanita, like, I think, needs to get a real storyline. And then, and I also feel like Molly needs to step it up because we'll see her say some really great things in her interviews, but then she flip flops in person. I don't think she's got the courage either to be really honest with her feelings. She like says one thing about Sally and then another thing to her face, and we need a little bit more from her too. And I think if people can all just be a little bit more authentic and show more of their actual lives, I feel like this show could go on, forever. But
yes.
I don't think Craig's going anywhere, you know.
I don't think he is either. He's really, even with all of this negative press, which has really gotta be what's getting underneath Austin's skin,
Yes.
and Shep too, I bet, has gotta be a little jealous too, that even with all of this, like, he's still at the top.
Yeah.
Like, he still has such an army of people rooting for him. He's still, gonna be invited to all of these events. He's gonna be, like, a center fixture still, as long
Yep.
as they're gonna have him, as long as he's, like, willing to come back.
Totally.
You can just see how close even Andy is with these guys. He cares about these guys so much. Like we were saying, they go to dinner
Yeah.
off camera after the reunion. I think that if Craig tried to leave, Andy would, I
Yeah.
would hope, do everything he could to keep him
Yeah.
there, and
For
maybe that's what he
sure.
was doing behind the scenes. And just one last thing I have to say before I leave, because we were talking about things before that we forget to bring up, and then we're like later. I was
Yes.
dying at the part in the reunion when Andy is, pushing Austin to admit that what's going on with him and Sally, and he's like, "I
Mhm.
will not be bullied into dating
Yes.
Sally." And I'm like, that's a
Yes.
direct dig at Andy. Like, I think that
Yes.
he was getting mad at Andy because Andy loves to play matchmaker. He literally
Yeah.
lives to play matchmaker, and
Yeah.
nothing makes him happier when two of his people date. Like,
Yes.
like, that's, he
So
lives for
true.
that. I think it's because
Yeah.
he's not in his own relationship. Like, he gets
Yeah.
joy from bringing other people together, and, like, he knows it's good for
Yeah.
the network. He knows it's good for all the things.
Yep.
So I think that he was, like, really rooting for Sally and Austin, and, like,
Yeah.
he's like, "I will not date her," and I just thought that was so
Yes.
funny. Like,
I know,
oh, what a good point
totally.
to end on. I really
Totally.
enjoyed watching Sally get a little embarrassed, watching just all of the dynamics of the group, and I'm
Yep.
sad to see it come to an end next week.
I
But I know that you and I
know.
will be the first ones
Oh, yeah.
warming up our mics next season and talking about
100%.
all the new things going on in their lives. So thank you so much
Absolutely. Oh my
for
God,
being
thank you
on
for
here.
having me. I love talking about this with you. And
Me
as you
too.
said, we could like talk for hours and hours and hours and hours.
Literally.
So we may need to debrief again once the second
Yes.
reunion's
Yes, honestly, after
settled.
the next reunion, I'm not putting that off the table. We might have to reconvene and have a
Okay.
part 2 to this
Yep.
because, again, it's really killing me that we don't have
Yeah.
a preview,
I
so we have to
know.
wait
Do you know
on
what?
bated breath.
Yes, sometimes Larry, though, from Bravo by Gaze gets like the first 7 minutes of things. And, I often see like the first 7 minutes of like the next Summer House episode. So, like, hey, hang in his IG and maybe we'll get a little
Yes.
teaser. But
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe they're just going to keep us waiting. But
They really are playing games with me,
yes,
playing games with my heart.
totally.
Oh my gosh, thank you again, Yana. Again, guys, everybody, all of the show information for Yana is gonna be in the show notes. I'm gonna have everything posted, links, so make sure we go
Thank
support
you.
Pop Therapy, 5 stars, give her an amazing review. She's really doing the Lord's work, and she
As are
keeps
you,
this.
my friend.
Yes, oh, we're a team, so I
That's
appreciate you
it.
so much, Yana. Thanks for coming on, and
Thank
we'll be talking
you.
again soon, it sounds like.
Can't wait. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.